Greetings, students. Dr. Sadri, your instructor for this course. I've started, introducing some of the work that I have done, either, as a single author and some that I have co-authored with other scholars. One of my pride and joy has always been, in addition to teaching, encouraging my graduate students and actually even sometimes some of the undergraduate students to work on a type of project that is going to be published. So because it's one thing to tell people about a region, it's something else to lecture them about this and that and how you should do this, and it's something completely different when you tell them, okay, somebody has asked me to do a research for a book or for a chapter or for an article or something. Would you be interested to co-author it with me? And I teach them how the work actually happens stage by stage. So in that regard, I am very, very honored that so many of my students throughout my life has co-authored with me what different either articles or book chapters or other materials, conference papers, etc. One very fine example is the work that I did with Mr. Omar Vera Moons, because he's right now back in his own country in Peru. He was one of my grad students, and he was very much interested in a part of the geographic area that I focus on. As you know, my geographic area is former Soviet republics and the Middle East, but not the whole area of the Middle East, focusing particularly on the Persian Gulf countries. You can't be an expert on everything, is that right? So there was an opportunity that two Canadian, scholars, they contacted us, and then they said, would you be interested in, offering a chapter? I said, on what? They said that about Iran, foreign relation with the Caucasus region. Now, why that was very important? Well, as you can see from the title of this one, it was published a number of years ago. Is that right? Iranian foreign policy, since 2001. Is that right? And then is it alone in the world? And then also, as I mentioned, it was co-authored by two Canadian scholars. So in this particular book, this is a type of a book that each one of the chapters is basically authored by a different scholar. Usually they choose scholars that they focus on that particular area or subject or whatever. So Omar and I, we basically focused on on Iran and the Caucasus region. Now why? Because as you know, Iran is is a major regional power in both the Caspian area and Persian Gulf. And then knowing exactly what the intention of Iranian, Islamic Republic is in the Caucasus region is very important for not just those countries themselves, but also for other regional powers like Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and also for global powers like Russia, European Union, and U.S. and even China that is expanding its presence in the region. And the region is very, very important. I think in some of my probably videos you have already seen this particular map. This is a very interesting area because some people actually refer to it as a part of Eurasia. It's an area that, as you can see right here in the bigger map, you can see that how Europe comes to Asia. Is that right? So both sides of the Caspian Sea, they're also known as what? They're also known as Eurasia. Okay, so connecting those. Of course, the whole idea of this huge continent we call, Asia and its connection to Europe, some people think that calling it two different continents is kind of artificial because, as you know, Ural Mountains are supposed to be the dividing area between the two areas. Some people say this was done by a geographer many, many years ago because they were Europeans and they thought they are better and, Asia is something different and traditional and they are modern or whatever. Whatever the issue is, this has been accepted throughout centuries that that's Europe, this is Asia. And another significant area of this whole area, if you think about it, is in the old world, when not very many people really knew about Americas, is that right? Or Australia. Here we go. This geographic area, and this, if I can make like a little circle, is that right, on the bigger map, connects not just Europe to Asia, but also, look, it comes to Africa. That's why so many great empires that were trying to control it. The Romans, the Persians, the Greeks, you know, Islamic Empire, you know, and then later on, you know, the more modern empires like, you know, the British, French, and others. Is that right? So that's a very important area. So in that regard, the focus in this region, you know, and it's a very significant region. This is actually known as South Caucasus, because the Northern Caucasus are just north of the what they call the Greater Caucasus, you know, mountain region, or some people they call it just north, you know, mountain regions. And this is the southern part, or some people they call it the lesser, you know, Caucasus mountain region. So as you can see, the belly of the Russia, which is right here, that is also, you know, believe it or not, a Caucasus region. You see, that is the area that you can see right here. It just indicates the Caucasus mountain, but this is the, you know, that's a part of the Russian Federation nowadays, and this area is also Caucasus. But that is, those are just basically component of the new, what we call Russian Federation, and these three republics, they have become independent since what? Basically 1991, when the, you know, Soviet Union fell apart, and then each one of the 15 republics, they became independent. So in that regard, you know, Georgia, you know, Azerbaijan, Armenia, they became independent. Each one of them, they have a significant history and everything, and then they have been playing a very important role. So I'm sure many of you have heard about Azerbaijan, because guess what? Places that they have natural resources like oil and gas, they get a lot of attention. Is that right? And then I'm sure you have also heard about the conflict between Armenia and what? Azerbaijan. That was about, you know, geographic area like, you know, Nagorno-Karabakh, that it was in the Azeri territory, but, you know, majority of the, you know, residents were Armenian. There are a number of wars in between the two countries. Then I'm sure you heard about Georgia being invaded 2008 by what? By the Russians, okay? And then the area near the, you know, what do you call it, the Black Sea called Abkhazia were taken away from it. Also the area that they call what? South Ossetia was taken away, because the other side of the mountain is North Ossetia, which is a part of Russia. You see, so for one little geographic area, has had more than its share of what? Conflict, cooperations, activities, interaction, and everything. So I thought this would be an interesting thing to write, and I was very, very proud of my former student, you know, Mr. Vera Muniz, who agreed to co-author this one with me. He's actually back in his own country, and he's a professor. I'm so proud of him. I'm very proud of actually not just Omar, but all my former students, because they're doing so well. Okay, I tell you what, for any kind of professor, that's probably really one of the best gifts you can give to a professor, that you see that, hey, your former students, that they were sitting in the classroom, listening to your lectures or something, they developed themselves to become what? Wonderful professionals, okay? I'm hoping one day I will be saying the same thing about each one of you. Sounds good? All right, you take care. If you have any question, feel free to what? To contact me. Bye.